Okay, Roberto, this is your second radio. I'm just gonna do the alignment for just the purpose of showing what I do. So this is gonna be the FM power. I just check it. If it's around 35, that's good for me. You know, the radio is about 50 watts, so you don't want to push it any hotter than that. So 35, 36 is usually right where it should be, and that's fine. So what I do now is I go into the low power. And I just want to make sure that, you know, I can give you the opportunity to run less if you need to. So I set it for about 1 watt, which is quite low, but at the same time, you never really know how close you're going to be to somebody. If somebody's like your next door neighbor or something, or down the street, or just a little bit across town, you really don't need to run that power. You can get out pretty far with 1 watt with the right setup and right antenna. So given that opportunity to do that is better than just running full on all the time. So you got 36.8 all the way up, and then all the way down it's going to be about 1. So that's good. I'm checking your RSSI. That looks good. It's showing full deflection, which is what it should be for power. So now we're going to do the FM mod. I'll come over to the spectrum analyzer for that. Okay, here's this one on the frequency, so it's sitting rather well. So don't need to really adjust that at all. If I do, I always will. But here's our come up to our deviation setting. Let me get the right setup here on my signal input. So this is the factory deviation. It's about 2.77. That used to be the maximum I think they would go. So we can now adjust that up. So I will do that. I like to say about 4.1 something. Just a little over 4, just in case it were to deviate a little bit down. That's about good there. So that'll be what it'll be now for low and high power, which is fine. Yep, so we're looking good. Alright, we'll do AM next, the power, then the modulation. Alright, here's the AM high power, so I'm going to bring that down some. It's good there. I like 8 and I like 1 for low. Okay, there's the low right there. Okay, now this is your low modulation depth. It's rather low. So we're shooting for right up here where it says AM depth. I'm going to make that about 95%, which I find is about perfect, because when you modulate with a microphone with your voice, you're going to go over 100% all day. So setting that about right there. If I shut the tone off now and we take another quick look, we can see that our depth is about 95% constant. Our max depth with the tone was about 101, and our minimum was next to nothing because we had nothing there. So this is our spectrum. Now this is going out like very far, like 1.3 megahertz. So far range that side, far range that side, almost 600 some kilohertz each side of that. But no, it's just a very broad look. Like I can look at it better now like this. Back into spectrum analyzer mode, we can see what we're looking at here. So I'm going to bring this reference level up a little bit, actually. Yeah, like that. There we go. So we can take a look there and see. It looks really good. It's 20 kilohertz. See where all the power is sitting right in the middle, how it should be. So everything's looking good. There's our waveform there. It's really nice. Obviously it's over 100, so pretty simple. Alright, here's your high power adjustment for modulation. So it looks okay, you know, but up here it's like 84%. So we'll make the necessary changes now. Be okay there. So now we'll kind of reset ourselves. And it shows our max depth was about 102. So if we look at our oscilloscope, it still looks really nice. Just how it should. So that part's done. Now last but not least, we'll do sideband. Okay, this is the factory, so it's not really that bad. It's a little flattened. You can see there on the top a little bit at times, but it's overly not horrible. It's the Spectrum with 20 kilohertz. This is upper sideband, so there's a little bit of some stuff probably not so great in here, and also back here a little bit. So we'll go into the setup here to measure what's going on. So again, I'm just going to try to balance this one and this one. It takes me a second to figure out where I need to go. And to do this, I'm just changing the amplitude of one of the tones. So we're essentially almost making it like it's a carrier, so that 1 and 2 line up, and that's pretty darn close. So the measurement, we'll go to TOI, and the radio it's really clean already, 24, somewhere along those lines, so it's really good. But I'm gonna quickly make a change here and I'll be right back. What I'm gonna do is try to balance out some of that flattening effect a little bit. Okay, there we go. So it's a little smoother now. Roundness, it's a little smoother. So that looks good. Now I'll come up here and see those are pretty much matched still. So measurement. So we might have gained just a little bit there. It's a real clean radio from the start, and it still ends up just a little bit better. So, you know, really good performance on sideband out of these, because they're not pushing that extra MOSFET that tends to, what I find with the higher power models, that third MOSFET in series seems to really cause some extra IMD product on sideband, which I'd rather not have. And at the sake of what, maybe 20 watts or less difference in power, I'll take the less power and the cleaner signal all day. Okay, Roberto, hopefully I didn't bore everybody with all that technical stuff, but it is kind of important for those that care. The mic gain on this radio is always in menu number 1. It's meant to be set to be at full at 63. You can turn it off or lower it wherever you want, but 63 is good. You can, if you're running like a power mic, just control the gain with your microphone. You can leave the mic gain all the way up on the radio. With these mics, when I run them, I usually generally run them about like here, and that's good enough. You know, it's a good sound coming out of it. So we're just going to show the power really quick, and then I'll show the receiver sensitivity of it, and then your order is all set. Just a note for everybody, if you order one of these, I'm going to send it out in the dimmed setting, so that way, you know, you can decide on how you want to go with it after the fact. But it's going to be in the dim setting, so that's menu number 2, dim, 2 and 3, but I'm going to leave it in dim 1. That way it's a little more dim. If you need to turn it up, you can easily do that. It'll prolong the life of the LEDs and everything if you keep it in the dim setting. So I do like that. Something that I'm glad that they added. Here's the sideband power of this radio all the way up. So it's a good 40 plus watts, which honestly for like running you might want to turn it down just a little bit, but like guys that will have like a RM, I don't know, 703 or a RM 503 high drive, this would be perfect for one of those type of devices, because if you want to turn the RF power down a little bit, which I'm trying to do here as we talk, right about here would be a perfect amount of drive for something like that. You know, I think they say like 35, although they can take, I think, more. 35 would be desired. So even at like 30, which if if I'm just backing it, turning it up just slightly, like around here would be great, you know, something like that, you know, because you don't want to overdrive stuff. Just because it says it can take this much doesn't necessarily mean you have to. So you can fully control what you want to do on SSB with it all the way down. It's not going to do that much. So if you don't need to run the power out of the radio, obviously turn it down and you're going to get out just fine with lower power. You know, it's all about what you need to make the contact, not just running it because you have it and you want to. That shouldn't be the way it is, but unfortunately a lot don't agree with that and they run it because they have it, and that's it. So it is what it is. But if you be courteous to your fellow operators and only run what you need, all that bleed over stuff would go away, and people running dirty equipment may not have to run it because they might find that just the radio can make the contact and stuff. So here's your AM anyways. It's about an 8-watt dead key, 1 2 3 1 2 3, and about 47 some odd watts of 48 watts of peak swing, which is pretty good. If we back this all the way down, about a 1 watt or so all the way down, and then with swing it still swings up sometimes into the high teens. Maybe every once in a while it might go up to like 20 or something, or slightly over, but it's not going to be very consistent. But you know, if you need something lower drive, you may not be able to run it, and I wouldn't recommend running something if your device is only going to give you 100 watts out. Don't run it, just run the radio, because the radio is going to give you close to 50, and it's not worth pushing that extra 50. You're not going to make any difference. All you're going to do is risk maybe burning the device, like a 203 or something. I would never recommend someone run like a 203 with a radio like this. You're just kind of wasting your time. You're better off just focusing on the antenna. If you're at a home base setup or something, get the antenna as high as you possibly can, and get a gained antenna if that's something that you can afford, and get directional gain antenna. Will outperform an Omni. Even if it's a vertical directional gain antenna, it's going to outperform an Omni vertical. And get it as high as you can. If all you can run is an Omni vertical, get it as high as you can. Height is might. Height will overcome power every day of the week. Conditions are all about how high the signal goes. So if the conditions are giving you that opportunity, the higher the antenna, the better chance you're going to extend that signal way up into the sky. The conditions are going to bounce it. So it's not always about power. Like I always say, antenna is critical, and height above ground is also a key factor. So those two things considered will get you out farther than wasting your time with adding like a 100-watt device to a radio like this. You don't want to run that with this. You'd rather go for like a 503 or something, you know, and that's just my advice. But at least then you know that you're making the next step up, which really isn't that much anyways. But the radio's working good. That's pretty much it. So I appreciate it. And this will kind of serve maybe as an informational video for the radio, according to what I do on the alignment part. So hopefully everybody has a good one and enjoy the radio. Have fun out there, and we'll catch everybody later. 73.